Right then, so this is the Vanden Plas owner, Andy Perman.
Hello.
All right. So, tell us a little bit about the car. So, how long have you had it?
I've had this just over 4 years. It's Vanden Plas 1500s Mark II Auto,
Yeah.
based on the Allegro, but they were never ever marketed as Allegros, only ever known as Vanden Plas 1500s.
Were they sold through the same dealerships?
They all went through the Kingsbury Works and then went nationwide.
Okay.
So there wasn't a particular dealership that dealt with them.
Right.
But they were intended for a niche market. Some tight headmasters, bank managers,
Yeah.
those ones that couldn't quite afford the Jag, but it gave a big car feel inside a little car.
Excellent.
That was the whole thing. And they sold well. They sold around 11,000 of them.
As many as that?
Yep. They sold very few Mark 1s. They only made them for about 9 months, and then they switched to this production, Mark 2. Main reason being is that they didn't put the picnic tables in the Mark 1, and customers didn't like it because they'd had the 1300 versions, predecessor,
Yeah.
and which had the picnic tables, and all the earlier Vanden Plas variants had picnic tables,
Gotcha.
and the Allegro didn't because the legroom was too small. So they made some fairly major modifications. They moved the whole bulkhead back, so it created another 3 or 4 inches of legroom, and then they could put the picnic tables in,
Brilliant.
and then they stayed for the rest of production.
So, is this a rescue or a straight purchase?
This was a rescue. I'd seen it about 10 years ago in my local garage, owned locally by someone else.
Yeah.
And then 4 years ago, I got a phone call from my local garage to say the guy had crashed it, and he was going to get rid of it, basically.
Okay.
The garage phoned me and asked if I'd like to rescue it, being as I've already got an earlier Mark 1 and a bit of an enthusiast.
Yeah.
So I went down and did the deal with the guy, managed to get hold of the car. It was badly damaged in the rear.
See if we can have a quick look at that. Oh yes, that's a fair old crunch there.
Yeah. So went into a body shop, so it's been crash repaired down here, has all been repaired. It's been repainted, not quite in its original colour. This is in Xenon.
It's a beautiful colour.
Which is the closest they could get in a modern paint. It's actually a Land Rover colour.
Is it?
It's very close to the original colour, but I love it.
Yeah, it suits it down to the ground.
Yeah.
So what work have you had to have done in the 4 years you've owned it?
Well, obviously all the bodywork. The gearbox had an interesting fault, which I didn't know about till I started driving it.
Yeah.
Just kept dropping out of top gear all the time once it got warm. So I went to a specialist, explained what was happening, and he said to me, well, that's not your gearbox, it's something else. Leave it with me. Which he did. He phoned me up the following afternoon, said, all done. And it was the governor.
Right.
Wasn't quite driving the gearbox properly, so it was dropping out of top gear, probably since the factory. It's not done that many miles. And he said it was probably all right for the first 20,000, and then it stopped working.
Then it stopped working.
So he set it up, and it does drive beautifully, way better than the other Mark 1 that I've got.
It does go really well on our tours.
It does, yeah, it does. So it's had some gearbox work. It's got new brakes all round, stainless steel pistons in the calipers, new wheel bearings all round.
You've had the suspension done on this one?
Suspension's been done by the Kennedys, yeah, so it's all been regassed.
Yeah.
So it has that lovely magic carpet ride. It's got uprated lights. It's got a inductive ignition, electronic ignition on it.
Yeah.
Just purely for reliability.
I mean, it does run and sound beautiful. Fair play.
Yeah.
Okay, mate. Thanks for sharing that with us.
No problem at all. Enjoy.
Fabulous wooden dash, leather. And yes, it really does have picnic tables. The everyday man's Rolls Royce.